Hey guys, so it's John and I'm back for another recording. Thank you for watching. And today's episode is something that's near and dear to my heart. It was a great learning experience that I had. Maybe some of you have never heard of the white van scam, but the white van moment is a lesson in being scammed. And a little bit of background here. Very first job that I had, sales job I worked at an electronics store. It very much reminds me of the movie 40-Year-Old Virgin, where everybody's working in the store and it's just like a complete free-for-all. It's actually kind of what it was like. And in this store, there was a sound room. And in the big sound room, they had, the receivers, they had the amplifiers, they had all the various speakers and a TV, and you could basically just give a demo of, any movie you wanted to, and then pair it with different speakers. So I got a chance to learn about speakers, what was going to be considered really, really high end versus what was really, really low end stuff. Um, Center channels, how many channels there could be, speaker towers, subwoofers, you being able to have speakers that were in the ceiling now, that was something that came later on. But basically, I learned everything that I could about like a home stereo system. I was kind of like somewhat of a pro, I thought. I used to do installations sometimes for customers off the clock if they asked for extra cash. And so fast forward, I don't know, maybe like 10 years later, and I'm a sales rep. I'm working for a cell phone company, and I would drive around and I had a couple zip codes in, Philadelphia, and I would go and prospect customers, try to get businesses to sign up. And one day I'm out there and I stop at a Wawa, right, little convenience store to get some coffee, some midday fuel. And these two guys approach me in a white van. And they're talking to me, telling me how they do installations, um, high-end audio installations for home theaters, and they had four installs to go. They only had one install left, but they actually had been given six systems that day when they left. And so they actually had two extra ones and they really didn't want to bring it back. And they figured, hey, maybe I would be looking for some sort of a great deal. So we talk for a little bit. They tell me the name. I'm not really familiar with the name, the brand that they're telling me, but something's like, no, this seems like a really good deal. You just bought a new house, you finished the basement with your friends, so you saved a bunch of money there. You got your permits and everything, so it's good to go. But you need something for this basement, right? You need to start building your home theater equipment area. So I tell the guys I don't have enough cash. We make a deal. I actually get $100 less than what they were asking for. They follow me to the bank. I give the guys their cash. I even get their phone number because I'm like, hey, if this is great and this works, man, my friends are gonna love it if I can also hook them up. So I take the stuff home. I say to my wife, when I get home, hey, come to the basement. I have all the stuff. We're gonna set it up. It's gonna be awesome. So we're down there. I'm pumped. I'm feeling good. I got this great deal. So I start opening up these speakers or the system, and the first thing that I'm pulling out are the speakers. Now, one of like your rites of passage when I was working at that place, the high-end audio store, was when you would sell a deal and you had the receipt and you walked over to the inventory area, and right as you were to leave, they would bring all this stuff down, put it on a cart and bring it out to your car. And I was really excited that I had closed the deal. So I went upstairs to get this stuff. And I remember one of the very first things that hit me was this stuff is actually really heavy because the magnets on the back of the speakers were really, really big so that they could produce this amazing sound. And uh, the amplifier and the receiver, these things were also really, really heavy. So as I'm taking this stuff out of the box, it kind of hits me that like these speakers are really light. This is not good, right? Like the speaker should be heavy if they're really good equipment. And, the receiver should be awesome. And it wasn't. And this is when it hit me. You've been scammed. those guys are gone. There's no way that you're going to find them. And you're stuck with basically worthless junk that you would never buy under any circumstances. But because of your own pride and arrogance, you fell for a scam. Now, I want to kind of tie this back in into the broader biblical narrative right here, right? Especially the whole Satan short season that we've been researching here, and the thing that I've been talking about. So one of the things that I think is important. Let's just go with a couple of verses. I'm not gonna drown you out with them, but I'm gonna give you a couple. Now, pride and arrogance. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. So this directly speaks to how arrogance can lead to a downfall. People who think they are too smart to be deceived are usually the ones who are the most vulnerable for this type of deception, right? They're just so smart, they know on their own. Second one is going to be referring to Satan as the master of deception, right? So in Genesis 3:1, right, chapter 3, verse 1, in the very, very beginning, this just goes over how cunning Satan can be. It says, "Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made." Satan did not force Eve to eat of the fruit of the tree. All he did was just twist God's words of "you will surely die if you eat of that tree." And his persuasion for her in saying that no, you'll become like one of us just shows you he knew what he was doing and he shouldn't have been doing it, but he was still deceiving her, and he did it in a very, very cunning way, right? And then in Second Corinthians 11:14, "And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light." So Satan will disguise himself as something good, just as the white van opportunity seemed like a really, really good deal to me until I realized what I had bought. Ephesians 6:11. "Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil." Now, wiles in this sense means schemes or tricks, right? His schemes and his tricks are his greatest weapon. He doesn't have to force people to do anything. He's just really good at tricking people into doing things for him. The danger of not considering all things. So in Ecclesiastes 7:25, "I applied mine heart to know and to search and to seek out wisdom and the reason of things and to know the wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness." So wisdom comes from seeking understanding. It's foolish to just dismiss things without consideration. So had I had some deeper consideration, I might have understood what I was about to engage in. Number one of the reasons why that scam works so well is that am I going to call the police on them for receiving stolen property? It wasn't theirs to give. I was engaging in something wrong first. So this is like the first level of deception in that scam is it's automatically worked in. I'm not going to go call the police on them. I'm doing something illegal myself. And then the last thing, you know, just in being fooled, right? Many people just think they're too smart to be tricked until they experience it firsthand. I fell for that scam, right? And unless you really think about Satan and his deceptions, you can fall for them just as easily, right? And the scam, it seemed legitimate to me, right? All the things pointed to me at that moment in my greed and arrogance saying that this seems like a legitimate scam, right? Or this seems like a legitimate product, or an opportunity or a way for me to get something awesome. But in reality, just as Satan's lies appear reasonable, right? Even biblical at times, the realization of being fooled should be humbling. So, you know, we should humble we should be humble before God and not trust in our own wisdom so much sometimes. Um, I, for all intents and purposes, knew way more than the average person about speakers and things like that. But I think my own pride and arrogance um, helped me to get tripped up in this scenario. And I think when I present the information about the short season to people, I often wondered, have they had their white van moment? Have you had your chance and opportunity yet to look back at something and go, man, I really got taken on that one. I've really, really, like if I could, I mean, honestly, I went through like all the stages, people lose someone and they say like the stages of grief. Well, let me tell you, the stages of being scammed are very, very similar where you're upset, I drove around for weeks looking for these idiots in the white van, and I know how the scam works now. They had just moved on to the next place because this is what they do. They move on. And actually, hey, update for everybody. Today, the white van scam, they might be in a truck, they might be in a van, they might even be on like a scooter, with like one of those Uber delivery backpacks on. It comes with a projector. So not only do you get the speakers, not only do you get the receiver, you get a projector. All of it's garbage. All of it's a scam. So just think about stuff before you say no to it, that it's not possible. In the book of Revelation, chapter 20, verses 7 through 10, one of the things that the devil gets to do is gather an army from the four quarters of the earth, and he deceives all nations. It could very well be that you live in that time of great deception, and I'm just a guy from another land who's trying to warn you about the white van scam, right? So just remember the devil's really crafty. He's really cunning. And unless you really, really try to search and find the answers on your own, you could very well be guided by people who haven't had their white van moment yet, and they don't know. And sometimes there's a way that God teaches us things that's not going to be taught or learned in a school or in a seminary or at a church. Life has a way of teaching you that lesson. So, with all humility, just think about it. You could have your white van moment, or you could learn from me and you could just look for the signs of the white van. And maybe you can look for signs of the deception in things that people have taught you about the Bible, because sometimes when you just read it with a fresh perspective as like a kid, right, you take a new meaning from it. I don't think that God ever wants to fool any of us. He wants things to be easy to understand. And if Jesus is telling a parable, a story about something so that you get a deeper meaning from it, he lets you know it's a parable. And if it's not, he talks direct. So just give it another read, think about it, and I hope you don't fall for the devil and his deception. Have a good day.